My name is Ilara Vance. I'm 38 years old, and 21 days ago my father looked at me from the polished marble steps of his 5,000 square foot home in Carmel by the sea and told me, his only child, that there was simply no space for my drama in his life. My 17-year-old son Lee was standing beside me in the damp coastal fog, holding a trash bag full of his clothes. We had just become homeless. My father, Arthur, has a 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom estate overlooking the Pacific. His stepdaughter, my half-sister Chloe, who is 15, has claimed 2 entire bedrooms for herself, one as her sleeping quarters and an adjacent sunroom as her creative meditation and study sanctuary. The 3rd spare room is a dedicated home gym for his wife, Celeste. The guest room, he told me with a sigh of inconvenience, was reserved for Celeste's sister, who visits from Napa twice a year. There was no room for us. What my father didn't know, what he had arrogantly never bothered to verify, was that the very foundation of his pristine, glass-walled life was built on sand. And the tide was coming in. Someone had been watching, waiting for his cruelty to finally eclipse his charm, and that someone held the deed to everything he thought was his. Before I take you into the heart of this storm, if you're someone who believes in resilience, in the quiet strength it takes to get back up, then consider subscribing to Real Calm Stories. We're a community here. Let me know in the comments where you're listening from. The city lights, a quiet town, the middle of nowhere. It reminds me I'm not just talking into a void. Now, to understand how we ended up on that doorstep, I need to rewind the tape. Not 3 weeks, but 2 years. To the day the earthquake hit, and every fault line in my life cracked open at once. 2 years ago, I had a life constructed from blueprints I'd drawn myself. I was a landscape architect with a respected firm in Santa Barbara. I had $52,000 in savings, a portfolio of projects that made me proud, a home with a garden I'd cultivated from bare soil, and a marriage I thought was rooted in mutual respect. Then, it was like a silent sinkhole opened beneath it all. His name was Julian. My husband didn't just fall in love with someone else. He orchestrated our financial collapse with the cold precision of a corporate raid. Before he moved in with his yoga instructor, he didn't just empty our joint accounts. He took out a second line of credit on our house, maxed out every card we had, cards I discovered were all in my name due to his better credit score, and vanished. He left behind a phantom and $34,000 of debt that had my social security number on every line. I had to pay it. If I didn't, the ruin wouldn't just be financial, it would be a stain that would prevent me from ever licensing my own firm, from renting even a studio apartment. The system, I learned, has no mercy for the conned. Then 10 months ago the call came. My mother, Gwen, had been fighting a persistent cough. It was stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The statistics were a horror story, but she was a fighter. She lasted 5 months. I moved into her small condo in Monterey for the final 6 weeks, watching this vibrant woman who taught botany, who could identify any wildflower on a hike, dissolve into a wisp of pain and medication. I held her hand when she took her last, ragged breath. It was a Tuesday morning. The sun was coming up. I buried her with the last of my liquid savings. The medical bills not covered by her insufficient insurance, the funeral, the everything, it totaled $41,000. A number that still makes my stomach lurch. In my raw, grieving stupor, I called my father. It was the middle of the night. "Dad," I whispered, the phone slick in my hand. "I need Mom's bills. The funeral home needs a deposit. I can't." "Ilara," he'd cut in, his voice thick with sleep and irritation. "Gwen was my ex-wife. Our financial ties were severed 2 decades ago. Celeste would have a fit if I started funneling money to my past. It's not appropriate." He didn't come to the funeral. His reason: Chloe had a regional tennis championship that weekend. She was the top seed. His presence, he said, was non-negotiable for her focus. 3 months ago, the final pillar crumbled. The sustainable architecture firm I'd helped build for 11 years was suddenly, quietly dissolved. The founders, facing their own massive liabilities, filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Overnight, my job, my email, my access gone, no severance. They owed me for 7 weeks of accrued vacation and my last month's salary, roughly $11,000. My employment lawyer, a kind man with tired eyes, told me I'd be in line with other creditors. It could take a year, maybe more, maybe nothing. I filed for unemployment immediately. The website was a labyrinth of despair. Due to the bankruptcy proceedings, my claim was flagged for extended verification. The robotic voice on the phone said processing could take 8 to 10 weeks. I had about $3,000 left. I paid 3 months, rent on my overpriced Santa Barbara apartment, a prayer on my lips that I'd find something, anything, before the clock ran out. The design world had contracted. No one was building. No one was hiring. My eviction notice was slipped under my door on a Friday. It felt like a judgment. "Mom," Leo said that night. He was still in his work polo from the natural grocery store where he stocked shelves, the green fabric smelling of kale and strawberries. "I talked to Mr. Evans. He's giving me the closing shifts on weekdays and all day Saturday. We just need the security deposit for a new place, right? How much do we need?" I looked at my boy, my 17-year-old who woke at 5 a.m. to run cross-country practice before school, then worked from 4 to 9 p.m., whose hands were nicked from box cutters and perpetually cold from the produce cooler. I felt something in my chest, something vital splinter. "You are not dropping out of school," I said, my voice firmer than I felt. "Your applications are due in 3 months. That is your focus. I will figure this out." 2 years ago, I had a blueprint for a future. Now I had a folder full of debt statements, a mother's death certificate, and a phantom promise of money from a bankrupt company. Catastrophe doesn't send a memo. It just arrives and starts rearranging your furniture, then burns the house down. Leo started at Fresh Mart when my mother first got sick. He insisted, "I can help, Mom, it's just groceries." Now his paycheck, about $950 a month, kept gas in our agging Subaru, our pay-as-you-go phones alive, and bought us bags of rice, beans, and discount vegetables. But to secure even a one-bedroom apartment in our area required last month, and a security deposit, a wall of $5,500 minimum. We were marooned. My father's dismissal didn't start with my homelessness. It began the day he married Celeste. I was 19, home from college for summer break when I saw them. I'd forgotten a textbook and drove back. Through the bay window of the house I grew up in, I saw my father and a slender, laughing woman with a chic blonde bob, feeding each other grapes on the sofa. My mother was at a teacher's conference. The intimacy of the scene was a physical blow. My mother never truly got up from that blow. She spent the next 19 years a little dimmer, a little more careful with her joy, as if happiness might attract another betrayal. When I graduated with my master in landscape architecture, my father sent a check for $1,000. A note, "Sorry I couldn't make it. Chloe's dance recital was the same afternoon. You understand, when I married Julian he gave us a $750 gift card to a home store. When Chloe was born he bought Celeste a vintage Porsche convertible. I still have his Instagram feed saved. Not to look but to remember. The captions are variations on a theme. My 2 girls, my everything, blessed family man. In every photo, Arthur, Celeste, Chloe, I am a ghost, a footnote from a previous draft. I sent Chloe presents every Christmas, every birthday. A book on marine biology, a set of high-quality pastels, never a thank you, not a word. The night after we buried my mother, Leo and I sat in the parked car outside the funeral home. The silence was a living thing. "Mom," he asked, his voice small in the dark. "Did I do something? Is that why Grandpa never knows me?" That was the night I told him, about the affair, about Celeste, about the slow, quiet sadness that became my mother's atmosphere. "Grandma always said I had grit," Leo whispered, staring at his hands. "She said I got it from you. She'd still be proud of me, right, even doing this." "She was proud of you every single day of your life," I said, my throat so tight it hurt. "She told me you were her greatest source of hope." He was quiet for a long time, the streetlight painted his profile in gold. "I miss her, Mom." "I miss her too, Leo, every second." We'd been sleeping in the Subaru for 4 nights when the reality solidified into a permanent, cold dread. A 24-hour fitness center parking lot, space near the dumpster because it was darker. I memorized the crack in the asphalt next to us, a jagged line like a lightning bolt. Leo's alarm vibrated at 5:15 a.m. I'd watch him stir in the backseat, his breath plumbing, his face stiff with the cold. He'd pull his Fresh Mart polo from a duffel bag, his movement economical to preserve warmth. "I'll get to the store by 6, he'd say. "I can use the sink in the stockroom to wash up before my shift." He thought I didn't know the specifics. The way he'd change in the single-stall employee bathroom, the way he'd bought a pack of baby wipes with his own money to stay fresh, the way he deflected questions from his co-workers about where he lived with vague talk of house-sitting. He was protecting his job, his dignity, and me, all at once. I watched him drive the Subaru to work. He'd taken over as the driver for his shifts, and I saw the cost. The new hollows under his cheekbones, the way his jeans, once snug, now pooled around his ankles, a purple bruise on his shin from a misjudged pallet jack. He was 17, studying for his AP Physics exam on his phone in the glow of the fitness center's neon sign, because running the car for light would waste gas we couldn't afford. His college applications were looming. He'd crafted his essays in the Notes app, fingers numb. I was in the bureaucratic purgatory of unemployment, 7 weeks in. Maybe one more, maybe 5. The lawyer had gone quiet. The shelter waiting list was 42 names long. The options had evaporated. There was one number left. One person who lived in a house with empty rooms who shared my DNA. I watched my son's taillights disappear into the grey morning, a kid going to lift heavy boxes so we could eat, and I broke my own vow. I would call the man who hadn't answered his phone when his ex-wife, the mother of his child, was dying. Not for me. For Leo. My father picked up on the third ring. Ilara. It wasn't a greeting. It was an identification, flat and devoid of warmth. Dad, I need to talk to you, it's urgent. I'm in the middle of something. Chloe's equestrian team brunch is tomorrow, and the caterer is being difficult. I took a breath that felt like shards. Dad, Leo and I are homeless, we've been sleeping in my car. Silence, a profound, empty silence. I poured it all out. The bankruptcy, the eviction, the debt, the cold nights in parking lots. I told him about Leo working 25 hours a week, rising before dawn, studying in the front seat with a flashlight clamped in his teeth. We just need a bridge, I pleaded, my professional composure crumbling into dust. 2 weeks, maybe 3, just until my unemployment clears or I find a contract. Leo needs a stable address for his applications. He needs a desk, he needs a shower that isn't in a stockroom, he just needs. There's no space, Ilara. His voice was calm, administrative. I almost laughed, a sharp, ugly sound. You have 5 bedrooms, Dad, 5. Chloe requires a calm environment for her studies and her arts. The gym is essential for Celeste's wellness. The guest room is spoken for, you know how particular Margaret is. Leo could sleep on a cot in the office. On the floor in the sunroom, we'd be ghosts. No, the word was final. Leo isn't Celeste's family, his presence would create an unease. And frankly, Ilara, his tone shifted, dropping into something condescending, the boy bags groceries for a living. Is that the ambition you've instilled? Chloe is being scouted by Juilliard for cello. Do you see the distinction? I was mute, I literally could not form a syllable. Then Celeste's voice, crisp and close to the receiver, slithered through. She must have been on speaker. Ilara, you're a 38-year-old woman, your husband left you, your mother died, you lost your job, perhaps you should look inward. The common denominator in all this chaos is you. The click was deafening. I sat there, the phone a cold stone against my ear. He had just reduced my son's brutal, beautiful perseverance to a punchline. And Celeste, the architect of my family's ruin, had blamed me for my mother's cancer. My hands stopped shaking. A strange, glacial calm settled over me. I called back. He answered, exasperated. Ilara, I said. I wasn't finished. My voice was steady, clearer than it had been in months. 5 bedrooms, Dad, Chloe has 2. Leo hasn't slept in a bed in 28 days, did you know that? He wakes up at 5 in the morning in the back of a Subaru Outback. He drives to a grocery store and hauls 50-pound bags of compost until his shoulders shake. He comes home to a parking lot and tries to memorize chemical formulas under a streetlight. He's 17. And you called him a grocery bagger. I didn't call him. You said the boy bags groceries for a living. Those were your words. You contrasted him with your daughter who plays the cello. I heard his breath hitch, a struggle for control. Celeste feels it's best if we maintain. Celeste, I repeated, letting the name hang. So Celeste dictates who is worthy of shelter in your house. It is our house. Is it? Something in my voice changed. It wasn't anger anymore, it was a cold curiosity. Are you sure about that, Dad? A beat of silence. What is that supposed to mean? It means I remember stories, Dad. Stories Nana told me when I was little, about that land, about who it was meant for. Don't, his voice sharpened, a whip crack. Don't drag my mother into your mess. Why not? Does she know you missed Mom's funeral for a tennis match? Does she know you turned away your grandson while he sleeps in a car? Does she know you mocked him for having a job? My mother is 82 years old, she doesn't need this stress. Then you better hope I don't need to be the one to give it to her. He hung up again. I lowered the phone. The fear I'd heard, it wasn't just irritation. It was the sound of a man who knew a secret was no longer safe. A sniffle came from the back seat. Leo was sitting up, still in his green polo, a new scrape on his knuckle. He'd gotten back from his shift and I'd been too lost in the call to notice. He'd heard everything. "Mom," his voice was raw. "Did Grandpa really say that about me bagging groceries?" I turned, the parking lot light cut across his face, illuminating the tear tracks. "Leo, I work hard," he whispered, his shoulders beginning to tremble. "I'm never late. Mr. Evans says I'm the most reliable stocker he's had in years. I'm saving every cent. Grandma, she always said hard work was honorable. She said it was the backbone of character." A sob broke through. He didn't come to her funeral, and now he's making fun of me for trying to help us. I climbed between the seats and took his hand, the scraped one. "Listen to me. Your grandmother was prouder of you than of anyone on this earth. She told me that. The man who couldn't be bothered to say goodbye to her doesn't get an opinion on your worth. Not now, not ever." He was quiet for a long time, the only sound his ragged breathing settling. Then he asked, "Nana, the one you mentioned, who is she?" I hesitated. I'd shielded him from the complexities of my father's family, a world of old money and older resentments. "Your great-grandmother, Vivian, and I think it's time you knew exactly who she is." The next morning I called my father one last time. He answered with a weary sigh. "Ilara, we're done." "One question, what does Nana Vivian know?" The silence was different, thicker, a pond freezing over. "What?" His voice was guarded, stripped of its prior arrogance. "Does she know about the funeral? Does she know you refused us? Does she know what you said about Leo's job?" "My mother is fragile. She loved your mother, but that's in the past." "Did she though?" I pushed. "Because I remember I was 19, but I remember Nana showing up at our house after she found out about Celeste. I remember her holding Mom while she cried. I remember her saying, 'Gwen, you are the daughter of my heart, my son is a fool.' I remember her telling you she was ashamed. That wasn't in the past, Dad, that was the foundation. And I'm pretty sure if she learned you, extended that shame to her great-grandson, she'd have plenty to say in the present." His breath was a harsh rasp in my ear. "You wouldn't dare." "I don't want to. I'm asking for 3 weeks. A corner, a floor for Leo." "The answer is no." "Then I guess you should prepare for Nana to finally see the man her son chose to become." The line went dead. I looked at Leo in the passenger seat. "Great-grandma Vivian," he said slowly. "She owns the land Grandpa's house is on." "She owns the house, Leo, or she did. The legalities, I'm not sure anymore. But she loved your grandma Gwen like her own. She called her her true daughter." "Are we going to call her?" I stared at my father's name in my contacts, the man who traded his first family for a shinier model. "Yeah," I said, my voice firm. "I think we are." That evening I drove to the Carmel Highlands. Leo was asleep, exhausted from a double shift. I parked on a winding lane above my father's property. The modern glass and steel structure was cantilevered over the cliffs, an architectural marvel, all sharp angles and reflected sunset. 2 cars in the circular drive, a Tesla Model S and a Range Rover. Perfection, sterilized and cold. A memory surfaced, vivid as yesterday, me 12 years old walking the rugged, undeveloped lot with Nana Vivian. She was a formidable woman, a former civil rights attorney. She'd pointed to the specific cypress tree that still stands sentinel. "This land, Ilara," she'd said, her grip firm on my hand, "is my soul. I'm letting your father build here because he's my son, but it's mine. It will always be mine. And one day, it should go to someone who understands its heart, not just its view." I'd asked why Dad didn't just buy his own land. She looked out at the crashing surf, a sadness in her sharp eyes. "Your father has always been attracted to beautiful things that belong to other people. First, it was ideas he'd present as his own. Then, well, he needs a stage, and I provided the land, your mother provided the soul. Now," she trailed off. "Now Celeste, I'd thought then. Now a trophy wife and a curated life." Another memory, Nana Vivian, a year after the divorce, sitting with my mother at our modest kitchen table. Mom was a shell. Nana held both her hands. "Gwen, you listen to me. You are the best thing that ever happened to my family. That boy of mine lost his compass. You and Ilara are my family, never forget that." I stared at the glittering house below. 5 bedrooms, a dedicated music room for Chloe, a wellness wing for Celeste, and my son with his bruised hands and fierce heart was sleeping in a car. I needed a lawyer, not mine, a different kind. Uncle Robert answered on the first ring. "Ilara, sweetheart, is everything all right? He was my father's younger brother, a quiet, intellectual man who'd chosen academia over corporate law. He was the only one from that side who'd sent flowers to my mother's funeral. A simple card, for Gwen, who deserved so much more. Uncle Robert, I need to ask you something about the Highlands house. A pause. Why? I told him the unvarnished truth. The car, the eviction, the bankruptcy, my father's refusal, the cruel words about Leo. When I finished, Robert let out a long, slow breath. Arthur said that, about Leo's job. His voice was thick with disbelief. That young man is working himself to the bone to keep you both afloat, and Arthur mocks him for it. My God. Uncle Robert, the house, is it still in Nana's name? Another heavier pause. I heard a door close. Ilara, you need to understand something. Your grandmother was devastated when Arthur didn't come to Gwen's service. She called me that night. She was crying, which I'd seen maybe twice in my life. She said, Robert, I failed. I raised a man with a beautifully furnished conscience and nothing in it. She never got over what he did to Gwen. She tolerates Celeste at holidays for the sake of peace, but she has never accepted her. And when she heard about the funeral, she's been waiting. Waiting for what? For him to cross a line she couldn't ignore. For him to show his true colors to someone who couldn't be gaslit. She asks about you and Leo constantly. She has a Google alert on your name from your old firm's press releases. She knows more than you think. My heart hammered against my ribs, and the house. 100% in her name. The trust is structured so that Arthur has a life estate. He can live there, but he cannot sell, borrow against, or transfer it. He pays the property taxes and utilities, but he's never paid a cent of rent or mortgage to our mother. It is her house, in every legal and moral sense. Call her Ilara, Robert urged, his voice gentle but insistent. Tell her everything and brace yourself. She is going to be magnificently, righteously furious. I stared at Nana Vivian's number. I hadn't spoken to her in almost 2 years, guilt and shame keeping me from reaching out. Leo stirred. Uncle Robert said she loved Grandma, he murmured, awake now. He said she asks about us. Call her, Mom, I want to hear her voice. I pressed call. She answered after one ring. Ilara Vance. Her voice was not that of a fragile octogenarian. It was clipped, clear, resonant with a lifetime of courtroom authority. It's about time. Hi Nana, I'm so sorry I haven't. Stop, I know where you've been, I know what you've been through. And I have missed you, child. I have missed your mother every single day. A weighted silence. Gwen's photo is still right here on my desk. She was my daughter in every way that mattered. I broke, sobs I'd been holding back for months, for years, wrecked through me. Nana, I don't know what to do. Robert called me. He told me what Arthur said, that my son refused you shelter, that he disparaged that remarkable boy of yours, Leo. She knew his name. She said it with a particular warmth. He works so hard, Nana, he's everything. I know he is, Gwen told me. She said he had the heart of a lion and the gentle hands of a gardener. She was so proud of him, Ilara, so am I. Leo was crying silently beside me, listening to every word. Nana, we have nowhere to go, Dad won't listen. Her voice hardened into tempered steel. Arthur does not own that house, I do. He has lived in my home on my land for 25 years by my grace, and he has the unmitigated gall to turn away my granddaughter and great-grandson, to ridicule that boy for his work ethic. I heard her take a sharp, controlled breath. When is that child's party? Chloe, her winter gala is next Saturday. Good, you and Leo will be my guests. Nana, Dad didn't invite us, he'll make a scene. I am inviting you, I own the property. My invitation supersedes all others, do you understand? Did you hear that? After 20 years of feeling like a forgotten shadow in my own family, to hear my grandmother say my mother's photo was still on her desk, it undid me. She hadn't moved on, she hadn't forgotten. And when she spoke of Leo, it was with a pride my father was incapable of. Her anger wasn't hot, it was cold, precise, and terrifying. What do you think she's planning for that party? Let me know in the comments what you imagine is coming. And if you're still with me, take a second to like this video. It tells me you're here in the trenches of this story with me. We're about to arrive at the moment that changed everything. Now let me tell you about the day of the winter gala. 3 days before, Nana called again. You're coming, both of you. Nana, we have nothing to wear, we've been living out of a car. I've spoken to Robert, he's handling it. You will look presentable and dignified, you are not going as petitioners, you are going as my family. Why put us through that? Her voice softened just a fraction. Because I want to look my great-grandson in the eye and tell him what his grandmother said about him. Because he needs to hear it from me. And because it is long past time for Arthur to be held to account in the only arena he cares about, his public image. The day before the gala, Uncle Robert met us at a diner. He brought a simple, elegant black wrap dress for me and a crisp, dark grey shirt and trousers for Leo, both from a consignment shop that supported a women's shelter. Vivian's instructions, he said with a small smile. Dignity, not decadence. Leo tried on the shirt in the diner bathroom. He looked at his reflection, so different from the boy in the grocery polo. Do I look okay? You look like you, I said, just rested. He fiddled with the cuff. I got my midterm grades back, all A's and 1 B+. Mr. Evans wrote me that recommendation letter for my applications. He said I had unshakable integrity. I wanted Nana to see I'm not what Grandpa said. I straightened his collar. She already sees you, Leo, but she'll love that letter. The party was a masterpiece of curated extravagance. We pulled up in our dusty Subaru, a glaring anomaly among the sleek black cars and hired town cars. The cliffside house was transformed. Ice sculptures glistened. A string quartet played under a heated canopy. Waiters in white jackets circulated with silver trays. 50, 60 people in black tie and gowns, the air smelling of champagne, expensive perfume, and the salt of the sea. And then there was us, me in my consignment dress, Leo in his borrowed clothes. His hands, despite scrubbing, still showing the faint calluses and nicks of his labor. Mom, Leo whispered, his posture rigid. We shouldn't be here. Nana Vivian asked us, that's the only reason that matters. We passed through the open glass gates. It took less than a minute. A woman in a sequined gown glanced at us, did a double take, and leaned to whisper to her companion. The whisper spread like a ripple. I saw my father across the terrace, holding a crystal tumbler of amber liquid, laughing with a man in a tuxedo. He was the picture of successful patriarch. Then his gaze swept the entrance and locked onto me. His laugh died. He said something to the man and began cutting through the crowd, Celeste materializing at his side like a vengeful spirit. What is the meaning of this? Celeste hissed, her surgically perfected face a mask of fury. How dare you bring him here? Grandmother Vivian invited us, I said, keeping my voice low and even. She has no authority to invite anyone to our home. I met her eyes. Your home. I let the question hang heavy and deliberate. Before she could retort, we all heard it, the solid thunk of a car door, firm, deliberate footsteps on the flagstone path. I turned. Nana Vivian had arrived. My father grabbed my elbow, trying to steer me toward the side of the house, away from the main crowd. But we were in the center of the terrace now. All eyes were on the unfolding drama. Ilara, he growled, low and venomous, I warned you. And I told you Nana invited us. This is Chloe's night, you will not ruin it. Celeste stepped closer. You need to leave now. We're not going anywhere. My father's eyes flicked to Leo, who stood silent and pale beside me. And you brought him, the grocery clerk, what you wanted to give everyone a demonstration of your life choices. I felt Leo flinch beside me. Dad, we're homeless. My father's voice rose, carrying over the murmur of the party. Homeless, living in your car, husband left you, mother died, company collapsed, and this is your legacy, a kid who scans produce. Guests had stopped pretending not to listen. Phones were subtly raised. Arthur, do you have any idea how embarrassing this is? He seethed, now playing to his audience. Showing up here like this, what are people supposed to think? Think what, Arthur? The voice cut through the night air, clear and commanding as a judge's gavel. My father spun. Nana Vivian stood at the edge of the lit patio. She wore a simple navy suit, her white hair swept back. She carried an old, scarred leather attaché case. Uncle Robert stood a pace behind her, his expression unreadable. The quartet trailed off. The entire party plunged into a stunned silence. Mother, my father's voice was a strained crack. What are you doing here? Nana didn't acknowledge him. She walked straight past him, past a gaping Celeste, through the parted crowd. She stopped before me and cupped my face in her hands. Her hands were cool, papery, strong. My dear girl, she said, just for us. Forgive me for not intervening sooner. Then she released me and turned to Leo. And you, she said, Her sharp eyes took in every detail, the proud set of his jaw, the fatigue he couldn't hide, the dignity in his posture. "You are Leo, Gwen's grandson." Leo nodded, swallowing hard. Nana took both his hands in hers, turning them over to see the marks of his work. "Your grandmother told me everything about you. She said you were the most resilient person she knew. She said you never complained, even when the world gave you every reason to. She said your heart was your compass." She looked up, meeting his eyes, her voice lifting so every soul on that cliff could hear. "She was so profoundly proud of you, and so am I." The silence was absolute. You could hear the distant crash of the waves below. Nana released Leo's hands and turned to face my father. "Arthur." He seemed to shrink. "Mother, this isn't the time or place." "You didn't attend Gwen's funeral." A collective gasp swept the terrace. "Gwen, who was my daughter in spirit for 18 years. Gwen, who loved you despite your failings. You chose a tennis match over honoring the mother of your child." Whispers erupted. I saw guests exchanging shocked glances. "Mother, please." "I am not finished." She took one step forward. My father, the powerful executive, took an unconscious step back. "Your daughter and great-grandson have been living in their automobile. Did you know that? Sleeping in parking lots. Leo rises before dawn to work a physically demanding job, then studies by flashlight for university exams. And you refused them shelter." "There wasn't room." "There was room." Nana's voice for the first time rose in volume, sharp and scathing. "In a 5-bedroom home, your stepdaughter has 2 dedicated rooms for her pursuits. You have a home gym, and you told your own flesh and blood there was room." Celeste stepped forward. "Vivian, with all respect." "I am not speaking to you." Nana didn't even glance her way. Celeste's mouth snapped shut. "And furthermore, Arthur," Nana continued, her gaze locked on him, "Robert relayed to me your comments about Leo's employment. You mocked that young man. You belittled his effort, his character, his very real contribution to his family's survival." Her voice trembled, not with weakness but with contained fury. "That boy possesses more honor in his silence than you have demonstrated in a lifetime of speeches." The whispers were now a steady hum. "Funeral car mocked him asterisk." "Mother, can we discuss this privately?" My father's voice was a plea. "Privately?" Nana's laugh was short, mirthless. "You attempted to humiliate Alara and Leo publicly. You derided this boy in front of his mother. You told your daughter she was unwelcome. Why should you be afforded a curtain?" "This is my house." "No, Arthur," the hum died instantly. "It is not." The silence returned, profound and electric. Celeste, her face flushed with rage, cried out, "How dare you? We've lived here for 25 years. This is our home." "You have lived here for 25 years, Nana said, her voice glacial, "as licensees, as guests. In a house that belongs to me, the deed has never left my name." "That's not," Celeste began. "Be silent." The command was absolute. "You are the woman who facilitated the destruction of my son's first family. You do not get to lecture me on fairness." The crowd was buzzing again. Phones were openly recording now. A young, confused voice pierced through. "Daddy, what's happening?" Chloe stood at the patio doors, wearing a beautiful silver gown, her face pale with confusion. "Who are these people? Why is everyone saying she's your daughter?" She pointed at me. My father opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Nana Vivian opened her attaché case. The movement was slow, deliberate, theatrical in its gravity. She pulled out a single sheet of paper, holding it aloft. The overhead light glinted off a raised notary seal. "This is a certified copy of the grant deed for this property, parcel number 8342019. The title holder is and has always been Vivian Elizabeth Thorne, my maiden name, held in irrevocable living trust. It has never been transferred, gifted, or sold. This land and every structure on it belongs to me." My father's face was the color of ashes. "Mother, you promised, you said it would be mine." "I said it would be yours when you earned it, when you demonstrated the character to be its steward." Her eyes were flint. "Have you earned it, Arthur? You betrayed Gwen, you abandoned Ilara, you snubbed Gwen's memory, you turned your back on your family in their most desperate hour, and you ridiculed a hard-working boy for his honesty." She let each point land like a verdict. "You have lived in my house rent-free for a quarter-century while behaving like a stranger to decency. Do you in your heart believe you deserve it?" Uncle Robert stepped forward. His voice was calm, academic, deadly. "As an officer of the court and the trustee's designee, I can confirm the veracity of this document. Arthur has a life estate, a personal privilege to reside here. He has no ownership interest. He cannot sell it, borrow against it, or dictate who the legal owner invites onto the premises. The crowd began to shift, people edging toward the exits, faces a mixture of horror and fascination. "Daddy," Chloe's voice was trembling. "What does this mean? Is this not our house?" My father was silent, crumbling in real time. Nana answered, "It means, child, that your father has been living an illusion, and illusions have a way of dissolving in the light of truth." She turned to me. "Ilara, Leo, you will take the primary guest suite tonight. It has a desk, a proper bed, and an ensuite. It's yours for as long as you need." "You can't do this," Celeste shrieked. "Chloe needs her spaces, her music. Her studio." "Chloe," Nana said, her tone permitting no argument, "needs one bedroom like most young people. She does not require a private conservatory while her nephew sleeps in an automobile." She looked at Leo. "You need a place to study, to rest, to simply be asterisk. Your grandmother would have demanded it, and so do I." Leo just nodded, tears streaming down his face silently. Robert added, "If Arthur and Celeste refuse to accommodate the property owner's directives regarding guests, I will assist my mother in initiating proceedings to terminate the life estate for cause. Under California law, that process can be quite expedient." Guests were leaving in a steady stream now. No farewells, just averted eyes and hushed conversations. I saw my father standing alone amid the dying party, a statue of ruin beside a melting ice swan. I walked up to him. "I didn't want this," I said quietly. "I asked for 3 weeks, a corner, that's all." He didn't look at me. Celeste dragged a sobbing Chloe into the house. The elegant winter gala banner over the door flapped limply in the rising wind. My father tried one last, desperate time. "Mother," his voice was shattered, "can we please talk inside? This is humiliating." "Humiliating?" Nana's eyes flashed. "You tried to humiliate Ilara by listing her tragedies as failures. You humiliated Leo by mocking his labor. You humiliated yourself by valuing a tennis trophy over a human life. Do not speak to me of humiliation." "I can explain." "You've had 20 years to explain. I am no longer your audience." As Celeste's car screeched out of the driveway, Chloe in the passenger seat, Nana turned to the bewildered girl who remained rooted to the spot. "Chloe." The girl looked up, mascara smudged. "This deception is not your fault. Your parents chose to erase part of your family. Ilara is your half-sister. She is Arthur's daughter from his marriage to Gwen, a wonderful woman who died last year. Your father omitted this to maintain a fiction." Chloe turned to my father. "Dad, is that true?" His silence was his confession. Chloe looked at me, truly seeing me for the first time. The resemblance, the tired eyes, the shared features. "You're my sister," she breathed, "and you were in your car while I had 2 rooms." Her face contorted with a sudden, profound shame. "I'm so sorry, I didn't know." "It's not your fault," I said gently. "You weren't supposed to know." Nana placed a hand on Leo's shoulder. "Your grandmother," she told him, "was the most authentic person I ever knew. She would look at the man you are becoming and her heart would swell. Let no one, especially not Arthur, make you doubt that for a second." "Thank you," Leo managed, wiping his face, "for saying that. I don't say things I do mean." "Did you see it?" The moment Nana affirmed Leo, he finally let go. The dam holding back all the stress, the fear, the humiliation broke. Because someone from the very family that had rejected him stood up and said, "You matter, your work matters, your grandmother's love was real." And Chloe, she was a child in a gilded cage, unaware of the world outside her walls. Here's my question for you, and I want you to be honest in the comments. Is forgiveness always necessary for healing? Or are some lines once crossed meant to become permanent boundaries? Tell me what you think. The party was a ghost town. The last of the hired staff quietly cleared glasses. A neighbor, an older gentleman in a rumpled tuxedo, approached Leo. "Son," he said, his voice gravelly, "I overheard. I own a construction company. Anyone who gets up before dawn to do honest work has my respect. That's the backbone of this country, don't you ever forget it." "Thank you, sir," Leo said. The man nodded, gave my father a look of pure disdain and walked away. Uncle Robert came over. "The video is already on Nextdoor and Instagram. The narrative is not kind to Arthur." I felt no triumph, only a deep, weary sadness. I never wanted a spectacle. "He built the stage," Robert said softly. He just never expected someone else to hold the script. We moved into the guest suite that night. It was serene, overlooking the moonlit ocean. Leo sat at the mahogany desk, running his palms over the smooth surface. "I can write my essays here," he whispered, as if speaking too loud might break the spell. He pulled out his laptop, then a folded paper from his backpack. "Mr. Evans's letter," he said, handing it to me. I unfolded it. "To whom it may concern. In 15 years of management, I have rarely encountered a young person with the integrity, work ethic, and quiet leadership of Leo Vance. Facing circumstances that would overwhelm most adults, he has been a pillar of reliability and maturity, *. My vision blurred. Nana appeared at the door. She carried a small, framed photograph. "For your room," she said, handing it to me. It was my mother, young, maybe 30, laughing as she planted a rose bush on this very cliffside, the house not yet built behind her. Her hair was blown by the wind, her smile radiant. "That was taken the year after she married Arthur," Nana said. Before the light in her eyes dimmed, "I've kept it to remember who she really was." I placed it on the nightstand. "We'll keep it safe." Nana nodded, then looked at Leo. "Your grandmother would be so proud," she said again. "Carry that with you, it's your armor." A week later the notifications came. My unemployment was approved. The back pay, a lump sum, hit my account. For the first time in a year I could breathe without a vice around my lungs. I paid off the last of Julian's predatory credit line. The emotional weight that lifted was almost physical. Leo got his SAT scores, 94th percentile. His applications went out. He was promoted to assistant produce manager, the youngest in the store's history. 3 weeks after the gala, my father came to the guest room door. He looked old, stripped of his veneer. "Can I come in?" I let him. He sat on the edge of an armchair. "I'm sorry," he said, the words seeming to cost him. "For what I said about Leo, it was uncalled for." "What are you sorry for, Dad?" I asked, my voice calm. "Are you sorry for hurting him, or sorry you got caught doing it in front of an audience that mattered to you?" Silence. "I was under pressure," he finally muttered. "Celeste, the party, it was a high-stress event. You didn't come to Mom's funeral, you didn't help when she was sick, you left us in a car, and you laughed at your grandson for working. Leo heard you, he carries that." His eyes fell to the floor. "I didn't think." "No, you didn't." He sat there, a stranger in a beautiful room. Then he asked the question that revealed everything. "What do you want from me?" Not "I will do better *. Not "how can I make this right," just "what do you want?" "I don't want anything from you," I said. "I just need you to understand that your actions have a cost, and my responsibility now is to protect my son from paying it." He left without another word. A month later I got a job with a non-profit designing therapeutic gardens for hospitals. The pay was modest, but it was meaningful work. It was enough. Leo and I found a small, sunny cottage in Monterey with a yard. We could afford it. The day before we moved, Nana summoned me to her study in her own, more modest seaside home. "Sit," she said. She took my hand. Her skin was cool, her grip firm. "I am restructuring the trust. Arthur's life estate will be terminated upon my death. The Highland property will pass to you and Leo. He will never own it." "Nana, that's too much. We don't need." "It's not about need, it's about legacy. Your mother's spirit is in that soil. I want it cared for by someone who understands that. You've been through a fire, Ilara. You've been bent, but you never broke. Gwen would be so proud of the woman who stood up for her son." Her eyes glistened, prouder than she ever was of anything. I hugged her, this small, fierce woman who wielded truth like a scalpel. "Thank you. Thank me by living a joyful life, that's all I ask." The day we moved into the cottage, I sent my father a final text. "Dad, I don't hate you. I spent too long hopping for a version of you that only existed in my childhood. That hope was a weight I can't carry anymore. Nana gave us shelter when you offered judgment. She honored Leo when you mocked him. She remembered Mom when you forgot her. I'm not cutting ties out of anger but out of necessity. For mine and Leo's survival. If you ever have a genuine change of heart, not motivated by shame or image but by remorse, you know where I am. Until then, this is goodbye." He never replied. Celeste sent a barrage of texts about fracturing the family. I blocked her number. But Chloe 2 days later sent a message. "Ilara, I'm so sorry for everything. I've been talking to Uncle Robert. I'd like to know you. If that's okay, and Leo. I wrote back, it's more than okay. The choices of parents are not the debts of children, we're here. Leo sent her a message too, hey, it's your nephew, no worries about any of it, I still bag groceries and it's a pretty honest living. Let me know if you ever want to get coffee. I get a discount. That first night in our cottage, I placed my mother's photograph on the mantel. We're home, Mom, I whispered. Leo was at the small desk by the window, finalizing a scholarship essay. He looked up and caught my eye. We made it. I walked over and hugged him, my son who had become a man in a parking lot. We made it because you never forgot that getting up early to help your family is a noble thing, no matter what anyone says. He hugged me back tight. Grandma would be proud. She is, Leo, she absolutely is. That's my story. My mother died 10 months ago and my father couldn't spare an afternoon to say goodbye. Then he scorned my son for the very work that kept us alive. But my grandmother, an 82-year-old force of nature, remembered. She remembered love. She remembered loyalty. And when the moment of reckoning came, she didn't just offer us a room. She handed us back our dignity. If you've ever been made to feel invisible by your own blood, if you've ever been shamed for the work you do to survive, if you've ever had to build a family from the friends and kind strangers who see your worth when others don't, you are not alone. I see you. Your story matters. Tell me a piece of it in the comments below. If this narrative of quiet resilience and reclaimed power resonated with you, please show your support by liking this video and subscribing to Real Calm Stories. We're building a haven for stories that remind us of our own strength. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss what comes next. Thank you truly for listening, for being part of this community. Until next time, remember, your foundation is yours to pour, make it solid.